time to get smart, an acronym for the Singapore-MIT Alliance for Research and Technology. It's MIT's first research center outside the U.S., and its goal is to nurture scientists and engineers so their innovations can be accelerated to commercialization. MIT's SIM Mobility project focuses on new models and tools for the planning, design, and operation of future urban transportation. That is, how can Singapore's transport system be improved? And part of that starts with autonomous cars.
We're looking here for driverless cars, and we're looking at ways in which we can make driverless cars useful in certain aspects of everyday life, so we can begin to influence the mobility with which we can get around easily, including getting that last mile to the final place where we want to go.
Okay, so right now, the thinking is using things like this for that last mile, right? After your train ride or your bus ride, how do you get from there, the station, to your workplace or the mall or wherever you want to be?
Right. We're not going to substitute autonomous vehicles for all our cars overnight. It's going to be too expensive. There's lots of issues of safety and all. So we want to look for some of those things, like when you get off the train station, getting where you want to go, where it might be useful first. It might not even be that. It might be you drive yourself to the restaurant, and it drives itself back to the station to get ready for the next guy.
Okay. All right, let's talk about big data, because that's part of what you do with this whole SIM Mobility project. What is big data right now, today, and how do you use it for your SIM Mobility project?
Well, think of big data as an overwhelming amount of information that's coming every day because of all the urban sensors, the smartphones, the tap in, tap out on the transit.
Yeah.
So it's just enormous amounts of data, so much that you can't instantly digest it to figure out what's going on. So how can you translate that data into meaningful indication of what people are doing, why they're doing it, so we can begin to build models of how a different world is going to behave a few years out.
Right, so I mean, this is sort of like vertical. It goes top down. It's meant for, this can be used by urban planners. It can be used at the end of the day by consumers as well, by companies.
Yeah, traditionally planning has always used information, but a lot of urban planning isn't really information based. So what we're doing with big data, with urban sensing, is enabling urban planning to be much more information based. It's unrealistic to think that we're going to replace the planners with some kind of mechanistic construction of the city.
Yeah.
There's far too many dimensions to that.
Okay.
But we do want to get a little better at using information to anticipate where things are going to be in the future.
Tell me, I mean, one way to think about this, would this be, you know, using all this data, would this be a much more sort of democratic approach to urban planning and building cities? This is what people want, this is how they move, this is why, these are the choices they make, and build a city not so much around them, but to their needs.
Well, we hope that's the case. Certainly, it's possible to use better data and better models to engage a broader set of the public in a deep look at what kinds of futures are we heading towards and what kinds of futures do we want.
Right.
And now, as usual with technology, it can be used to exclude people from participation or include them in top-down or bottom-up. So it isn't necessarily more or less democratic, but it offers the possibility of engaging a broader public in understanding the future.
Still to come on The Edge, we hear from an author who believes trillions of dollars will be